Alright mates, how's it going? In today's video, Chapter 7 of Illidan by William King. We're back with Maiev, who's hanging about with a different broken tribe this time. So let's get... Maiev almost felt relaxed, albeit a little bit bloated. She had a belly full of cleft hoof meat, after all. She and her followers had spent most of the day hunting the big hairy beasts, and after eating the meat, they'd tended to the hides, making new armour and stuff. And that brought back memories for the Warden. She'd hunted with her mother back when she was a wee little night elf. They used to make their own clothes. It was lovely. But her mother was killed by the Burning Legion, so enough about that. Illidan was still at large, gaining even more power every bloody day. How was that butt munch constantly finding more allies whilst her forces had only grown a little bit? Didn't make any sense. At least this Nagrand place was nice though. The air was clean, and the sky was blue. Sure, you could still see the effects of the world-splitting magic inflicted on Draenor, but it was a hell of a lot better than Hellfire Peninsula. Maiev then looked over at her lieutenant, Anindra, who was currently lay on her stomach playing some kind of board game with Sarius. The two of them had proved loyal and good soldiers these past few years. They'd kept Maiev's forces alive under some very trying circumstances, and yet Maiev had achieved almost nothing to show for it. Her forces had grown but could hardly be called an army. A few hundred disaffected Draenor youths. Big whoops, that wasn't going to be enough. A commotion then sounded at the edge of the camp, attracting Maiev's attention. The sentries were challenging someone, so the Warden moved to investigate. And as she drew closer, she saw some unfamiliar broken. What's going on here? We could ask you the same thing. You are on Kurenai land, eating Kurenai beasts. Maiev had heard of the Kurenai before, another faction of Broken, one that owed no allegiance to Akama and his Ash-Tongue tribe. I saw no brand on those cleft hoof. This is our hunting grounds. We have not given you guest rights. Maiev considered the current situation and immediately started calculating. These strangers were outnumbered 20 to 1. Bah! You have an army. We do too, and ours is bigger. But it's not here. It could be, if I sounded this horn. I could put an arrow through your eye before that horn reaches your lips. God damn it, Anindra. That wasn't helpful at all. We meant to give no offence. We are strangers passing through this land and we saw only food and shelter. We should have come to Telaar. Our people would have provided you with both, maybe even more things. There seems to be a lot of young Draenor following you. Our leader, Arikron, would probably love to hear your story. Maiev perked up at that. Potential new allies? With an entire army? Yes, please. Well, if it suits you, I will guide my people to your city and have words with your Arikron. I will leave some of my people to be your guides as I go ahead and give notice of your coming. How very formal of him. Hopefully he wasn't off to prepare some kind of trap. Sometime later, Maiev's group arrived at Telaar. It was impressive. Situated on top of a mountain peak and only accessible via rope bridges or from the air. The crowd lined the edge of the town, and unlike the Ash-Tongue of Urabor Harbourage, these Broken looked healthy. And at the centre of the crowd stood a particularly large Broken, whose clothes looked quite fancy. Akal Hector, and welcome to Telaar. I am Arikron, and I would give you welcome in my house. Cheers, mate. As they rode through the town, Maiev studied the odd Draenei architecture. Not that she thought the buildings were pretty, she was basically just looking for any ambush spots. Everything felt like a trap nowadays to Maiev. Bit sad, really. But soon enough, they entered the Kurenai leader's house and sat down at a table. Arikron appeared to have an honest face and a welcoming manner, but such things can be deceptive. A Broken boy then popped his head through a beaded curtain and stared at Maiev, and she stared right back at him. Corky, it's past your bedtime. Go to sleep. Yes, father. Corky, yes, father. Go to sleep, you little shit. He's a good boy. Bit spoiled, but I worry about him sometimes. Well, as a parent, you have a lot to worry about. These are dark times, and they're only getting darker. True, but the light will preserve us. It always has, and it always will. I wish I shared your faith. Faith in the light is open to all. All you need to do is believe. Ah, balls. Who's going to start getting all preachy? I'm sure the light watches over all of us. I'm just not sure it can protect us. The betrayer seeks dominion over Outland. He's already recruited countless fell orcs and other monstrous beings. I've seen the Naga working on great magical engines. Whatever Lady Vash is up to, believe me, it's not good. It wasn't the first time Maiev had given that speech, and it had managed to convince the Draenei youths that had joined her. But Arikron was no youth. He was an experienced leader, so she was going to have to throw in a Hail Mary with this one. If you wish your child to have a safe future, you might want to do something soon, before Illidan has overwhelming forces at his disposal. You do not need to convince me of the threat Illidan poses. Then I can count upon your help. Yeah, it's not quite that simple. I've heard of you, Maiev the Warden. Heard of the way you go from town to town in search of soldiers for your crusade. Heard that some of the young and more impetuous Draenei follow you, but I am neither young nor impetuous. I would like to help you, Maiev. You're right about how powerful Illidan is, but I just can't draw that kind of attention to my town. So you're afraid? Yeah, and I'm not at all ashamed to admit it. Well, you should be. Oh, it's easy for you, isn't it? Riding from place to place, spinning your web of words. You don't have to think about consequences. You don't have to think about our young people dying. Don't I? Those few night elves you saw outside, my officers, they're all that remain of the mighty force that once followed me. But you can fight your guerrilla war and then disappear into the wastes. Escape the wrath of your foe. My people can't. We live here, with our children. I wondered why you'd introduce him into the conversation so early. You are a cynical and wrathful night elf, but you're also a righteous one. I'll provide you with supplies and weapons. I'll allow you to recruit whoever wishes to follow you, as long as you leave the town guards out of it. But that's it. I have considered the offer. It wasn't ideal, but under the circumstances it would have to do. I appreciate the risk you're taking. Just so we're clear though, what you plan to do, you do on your own. Nagrand then grabbed 2 goblets, poured some water and then sat back down again. Maiev took a sniff of hers but couldn't smell any drugs, so she took a sip. Tell me, since you know Illidan so well, what do you think he's doing here? Fleeing the justice that pursues him from Azeroth? Obviously, but I meant specifically. What do you think he plans? Why is he building this massive army? Do you think he means to invade your homeworld? Probably. Illidan has always sought glory and conquest. He loves that almost as much as he loves forbidden knowledge. It is said that he is a formidable sorcerer, one of the greatest my people ever produced. Well, that's alarming. Not a big fan of magic myself, since he killed millions of people and shattered my planet. All the more reason Illidan must be opposed. Has he made pacts with the Burning Legion before? Making pacts with the Burning Legion is what Illidan calls a Wednesday, and yet now he appears to be at war with them. It appears that way, yeah, but I don't care why. I just want to capitalise on the opportunity this presents. What do you mean, Well, I don't mean to insult you, but kinda seems like you'd find an opportunity to strike against Illidan under any circumstances. Nagrand then paused for a moment, looking very contemplative. Perhaps there are some that might aid you in your quest. Some that have great magical power. I do not seek an alliance with those who use blasphemous sorcery. The Naru serve the light. The Naru. They came to Shatrath City recently. You might make common cause with them. They are no friends to your Illidan. He is not my Illidan. Sorry, slip of the tongue. Tell me more about the Naru. Well, they're beings of light. They came to Shatrath a few months ago, attracted by the rites of worship that the outdoor priests perform. And they protect the city from demons. They hold the Legion at bay. Yep, they've turned Shatrath into a sanctuary, and they're recruiting anyone who would join them in fighting the demons. You'd do well there. Probably become a general in their army in no time. This definitely sounded promising, although it was also entirely possible that Nagrand was just trying to get rid of her. I don't care about positions of power. I just want to see Illidan receive his well-deserved punishment. Nonetheless, I would advise you to seek out the Naru. Of all the forces in Outland opposing the Burning Legion, they are immeasurably the strongest. How do I find this Shatrath? And who do I speak to there? Head northeast, seek the Terrace of Light, and speak with Adal. A few weeks later, Maiev and her followers had enjoyed some much-needed rest, and recruited another 50 young fighters of Broken and Draenei to join them. But now, it was time to leave. Remember, seek out the Aldor. They are the strongest faction in Shatrath besides the Naru, and the ones most likely to aid you. Okie dokie. See ya. And with that, they set off. Next stop, Shatrath City. And we're leaving it there. We're back with Vandel in the next video, doing a little bit of training, and then Illidan forces him to eat something pretty gross. As usual, link in the description if you're interested in buying this book. Also, there's links to my Discord server and my Patreon page too. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!